Welcome to the 25-26 Premier League preview. Here I'll be going through all 20 Premier League teams, giving a key player for each team, and predicting where they'll finish on the Premier League table. So without further ado, let's start with Arsenal. I know technically it's AFC Bournemouth, but I've always thought that's silly, so we're starting with Arsenal. Arsenal finished second last year, per usual, behind Liverpool by a pretty wide margin. They've picked up some interesting players, notably striker Victor Gyökeres, coming off a spectacular season at Sporting Lisbon, a true six in Zubimendi coming from Sociedad, plus some wing depth with Noni Madueke coming in from Chelsea. But my key player is Martin Odegaard. Odegaard had a tough year last year. Granted, he was injured for a large amount of it, but even when he was playing, he wasn't making much of an impact. He only had 3 goals. Arsenal really need him to bounce back if they are going to make a mark this year. While I do think they'll be fully entrenched in a true title race this year, I'm still putting them at second. Moving right along, next we have Aston Villa. Villa had a great year under Unai Emery, finishing 6th. They played in the Champions League last year, which may have impacted their domestic form a little bit, but they still were able to put together a very solid season. Their key player is forward Daniel Malen. He came over from Dortmund last year and never quite found his footing, but if he gets back to goal-scoring form, then watch out. I'm slotting them in at 6th again. Next is Bournemouth. Bournemouth had a breakout season last year, finishing 9th, and as when mid-table teams do better than expected, they are ransacked by the biggest clubs in the world. Notably, they lost Milos Kerkez to Liverpool and Dean Huijsen to Real Madrid. With all that being said, they still retain Tyler Adams, Antoine Semenyo, and Justin Kluivert, so they are still in pretty good shape. And my key player to watch is Justin Kluivert. We'll have to see if that barrage of goals that he scored last year wasn't just lightning in a bottle, and if he can truly be a consistent Premier League player. I'm putting them at 10th. Next is Brentford. Brentford notably lost their coach Thomas Frank to Tottenham and their best player Brian Mbeumo to Manchester United. I think they struggle. Their key player to watch is their new goalkeeper, Kelleher, coming from Liverpool. He could really make a difference. They are going down to 16th. Next, we have Brighton. After a record-breaking summer transfer window last year, Brighton had a solid season and finished 8th. They had a quieter summer in terms of acquisitions this year and will probably be looking for some internal development from those guys they bought last year. Of course, they lost Joao Pedro to Chelsea, which was a big part of their scoring output. The key player to watch here is Carlos Baleba. Manchester United have been linked to him, some other big clubs want him, but if he sticks around, he might have a big breakout season, so watch out for that. I think they have a slight step back this year and finish 9th. Moving along, now we have Burnley. It's impressive that Burnley made it back up, but I don't think they have the Premier League talent to actually compete and stay up, and I see them going straight back down. Their key player, a familiar face, right back Kyle Walker. We'll see if he has anything left in the tank. I have them finishing last at 20th. Next is Chelsea. After an impressive finish at 4th last year, then winning the Conference League, then winning the the Club World Cup, Chelsea have probably played the most minutes out of any club in Europe. But who cares? They have so many players and they just keep buying them. They are playing in the Champions League this year, but it doesn't even matter because their roster is so large and so youthful that none of them will feel it. Their key player for me is Reece James. Obviously, when he's fit and healthy, he's one of the best right backs, if not the best right back in the whole world. So if he can get back to that peak form, I think they can be taken to a whole nother level. I have Chelsea finishing 3rd. Next, we have Crystal Palace. While Palace finished their usual 12th last year, they had tremendous success outside of the Premier League, winning the FA Cup and winning the Community Shield over Liverpool most recently. So far, they've managed to retain their top talent in Abarachi Eze and Mark Gay, and will be looking to build off of that momentum. Key player to watch is Adam Wharton, who will be looking to have a great year so he can get one of those coveted spots on the England World Cup team. I have them improving and finishing 7th. Next up is Everton. David Moyes' squad successfully exited the relegation battle last year and will be looking to do the same this year, maybe loftier expectations like not being in the relegation battle and filling up that shiny new stadium. The big news, of course, is they're getting Jack Grealish on loan, which is a tremendous get. And of course, Jack Grealish is my key player. I have them finishing comfortably at 13th. Fulham is next. They were another feisty team last year, along with Brentford, Brighton, and Bournemouth, but they were the last of that group, finishing 11th. The squad is pretty much the same as it was last year, and I can see them having similar success. Key player is Alex Iwobi, who had 9 goals and 5 assists last year and will be looking to improve on those totals, slotting them in right at 11th. Next we have Leeds. A historically large club, a lot of people are very excited that Leeds is back in the Premier League. They have some familiar faces from last time around, with feisty winger Willy Gnonto and our guy Brendan Aronson, of course. Key player to watch is Jack Harrison, coming back from loan from Everton. Unfortunately, I have them going back down at 19th. Now it's time to talk Liverpool. After winning the Premier League, manager Arne Slot was able to find some players that are perhaps more suited to his style of play this summer transfer window in Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, and Hugo Ekitike coming in. But Liverpool also sustained some big losses, starting of course with Diogo Jota in that horrible car accident. They also lost Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich, Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid, and Darwin Núñez to Saudi Arabia. The key player to watch is Virgil van Dijk, who's getting a little old. He was uncharacteristically out of position several times against Crystal Palace in the Community Shield, so something to watch out for. I have Liverpool going back-to-back, but by a much slimmer margin. I can't see the same dominance they had last year. Manchester City is next. Last year was a down year by Manchester City standards, capitalized by coach Pep Guardiola repeatedly losing his mind on the sidelines. But make no mistake about it, City are coming back strong. Additions of Ryan Cherki and Tijani Reinders will bolster the midfield after Kevin De Bruyne's exit. And look for Erling Haaland to have a bounce-back year. The key player for me is their new keeper in James Trafford. He could be a big difference maker. I have City fully entrenched in the title race, but ending up finishing 4th. Now to the other side with Manchester United. Last year was the year from hell for Manchester United, finishing 15th, almost in a relegation battle. Now that head coach Ruben Amorim has a summer transfer he gets to work with, plus more time to be with the team and the players, look for them to improve. They brought in Brian Mbeumo from Brentford and Mateus Cunha from Wolves, so those will be welcome improvements. The key player to watch is Benjamin Sesko coming in at striker. He's a pretty polarizing player as far as how good people think he's going to be, and I have them improving to 12th. I don't think they're making Europe this year, sorry. Next is Newcastle. Newcastle had a very solid season last year, finishing 5th. But this summer transfer window has been an absolute nightmare. They've been rejected by so many transfer targets, including Joao Pedro, Marc Guéhi, Mateus Cunha, to name a few. And now their star player, Alexander Isak, is trying to force his way out. Of course, everything hinges on whether Isak will stay or not, so he is my key player. Regardless, I see them dropping down all the way to 14th. Moving on, now we have Nottingham Forest. Forest are coming off a good year, finishing 7th, and they were pretty much in a Champions League spot for half of the year, but they really sort of took a nosedive towards the end. Look for them to kind of recapture that first half energy and get back to that gritty defensive style of play. Key player to watch, Morgan Gibbs-White. MGW tried to leave to Tottenham in this strange botched transfer. Allegedly, he is happy though, so we'll see about that. I'm putting them at 8th. Rounding out the promoted teams, we have Sunderland. I actually like some of the business that Sunderland did this summer transfer window, bringing in steady-handed veteran in Granit Xhaka and Chelsea project striker Marc Guéhi. But my player to watch is former Brighton winger Simone Adingra, who is absolutely oozing with talent. I have them staying up. You heard me right. They're going at 17, which now brings us to Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham, of course, was the other team that had a year from hell. Plagued by injuries and stubborn coaching last year, Tottenham finished 17th, 1 spot away from relegation. If the promoted teams from last year weren't so goddamn awful, they'd be going down. They did win the Europa League, however. Additionally, they've had quite a summer. They brought in Brentford coach Thomas Frank, of course, and talented dribbler Mohamed Kudus. Additionally, they got a true 6 in Joao Palhinha from Bayern Munich. Look for him to bring some much-needed defensive intensity. My key player is Mickey van de Ven, who just absolutely needs to stay healthy for them to be successful this year. I have them finishing 5th. Drastic improvement, I know. West Ham is next. They had a pretty unremarkable season last year, and I think they'll have a pretty unremarkable season this year. My key player is striker Nicholas Füllkrug. He had a tough year last year, but if he can recapture any of that form he had during the Euros, then he would be a great help for West Ham. I have them at 15th. And yes, that means Wolves are going down. They were bad last season, and with their two most productive players in Mateus Cunha and Ryan Ait-Nouri leaving, I can't see them doing well. Their player to watch is their manager, Vitor Pereira. No one wants to be the relegated manager. Alright, thanks for watching to the end here. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, or if there's any key players you want us to look out for. And remember to like the video and subscribe for more soccer content.